Right?
So casually.
Just so casually makes his way in with 2 minutes to spare. We all sitting here. We're sweating. I've been here since 9:30.
Don't sweat.
No, I mean, look at his smile, though, Jay.
Oh, I know.
I mean, come on. Look at this
charming.
smile.
Yeah.
You're dealing with one of the fan favorites all time, Detroit Lions history,
Braylon
Joy Bell. So
Edwards.
whenever he gets here, it's always on time. But I'm happy to have you, man.
It's gonna be a good time today. Of
I
course.
like the little subtle jab. Right?
No,
Real subtle.
no. That's not subtle. She opened it up with the jab.
Yeah.
I just said whenever you
That's
get
our
on
thing,
time.
though. You know what I mean? That's our thing. We made that up.
You my
last
guy.
time. So casual.
You my guy. We go back to you beat me on the pool table before you even got there.
You know what's funny? So I played Braylon in pool when I was in college.
Yep.
We was all at his house, and he used to have these big straw waves at his house. Like
This is before you broke the record at Wayne State.
Yeah.
Year before you broke the record.
Yep. And so went to his house. He invited me over, and he was a good host because he let me beat him in pool.
Oh, he let you win.
And he let me win.
That was so nice of him.
I appreciate that.
That's like our running respect for each other. I tell everybody he beat me. He tell everybody I let him win. That's our running respect for each other.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Well, hopefully the Lions will get their first win today, guys. Taking on the Bengals. How do we feel about it today?
You know, it's interesting, Braylon.
Talk to me.
Because you look at the way they've played the last two games. I mean, even if you go back to Chicago, they spotted Chicago 14 points and then held them to 10 points the rest of the way. They turned the ball over 3 times inside goal-to-goal opportunities. Then they carry it over next week against Minnesota. Can they carry it over again in those sins that you talk about, self-inflicted negatives where they're turning the ball over in the red zone, stuff like that? Can they not do that? Because this is one of those games on the schedule, Braylon, you look at and you say, this could be the day.
Yeah, interesting enough, last time the Lions played Cincinnati here at home was in October. It was 20th of 13. Calvin Johnson went off. He had 155. They win that game. The last time they were 0-5, they actually prevented themselves from going 0-6. It was October 18, 2015. Chicago, they beat Chicago to prevent themselves from going 0-1. Somebody on this podium was on that team and in that game. Joy, talk to us about how did you guys prevent yourselves from going 0-6 and you rallied and got that win against Chicago, 8 years ago or 6 years ago today?
Well, it's funny because really I didn't play that game. That's one of the games I set out due to the surgery I had. And so, but the team, we came in focused that week, and I think it was a week-to-week thing. We stayed focused entire week. We never pointed a finger. We just, we came together collectively and we figured out how to get it done. The coaches had a great game plan, and I think that week we were really, any divisional game is always going to be a big game and it can always go either way. But that particular game, we had our eyes. We had the eye of the tiger that game.
Joy, at 0-5.
No pun intended.
At 0-5, I know you had surgery that year, but how difficult is it when you're in that room not to start pointing fingers at each other? Because really, that's the challenge, right?
It's funny. We talked about this on the show before. That year, we actually started the year off 1-7. And, during our bye week, which was halfway through the season, it was a lot of furniture moving. Coaches were let go. And we came in as a team, and Jim Caldwell said, listen, guys, I have enough money to pay a king's ransom. I want you guys to be successful for you. He said, you guys come in and work, and, you guys deserve to be paid. You guys deserve to win. And, it was, like I said, it was never any finger pointing, and we finished the last 8 games 6-2. And that just shows, like, we have the talent, we just had to put it together.
Sounds like what you had also. It sounds like you had a coach that believes in you. Yeah. Sounds like you had a guy that believed in you. He cared more about you guys as a team than he cared himself and his individual achievements as a head coach. Kind of sounds like what the Detroit Lions have now, Jay, and Dan Campbell, who really cares about his players and this team.
Oh, I mean, after the game last week, his emotions. I mean, I think that got. And I know, Ryan, you had tweeted out because you were all and you were back in. They brought you back in.
I loved it because again. How many times have the Detroit Lions had a coach, Rod Marinelli, Jim Schwartz, insert former coach here, right?
That's right.
You come into the room and, we just got to go back to work and we'll keep grinding and our pick is sharp, our shovel is sharp, and you're like, wait a minute here.
Like you're just saying cliches at this point.
It's cliche, Coach Reddick.
My Sunday is now ruined because I care so much about the Lions.
Which ruins your week.
It terribly does. So I want to know that the coaches and the players, and granted, I know they do, but you want to know that they hurt as much as you do.
Yes.
And that wasn't some crocodile tears that Dan Campbell had. Those were real tears. That was real emotion. He really wants his guys to get a win, to experience a win, because last week they deserved a win, and they didn't get it. So they're close. They're not going 0-17. And, again, this could be, Joik, one of those days against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think this is one of the games that I have marked down for one of our 4 wins we had. Because at worst-case scenario, I said we were going to get 4 games.
Yeah.
I had this down for one of the games that it can go either way. And then the next game I have, which people are going to look at me, he actually has on the jersey, is I have us beating the Browns.
Yeah.
I have us beating the Browns. But we're going to worry about today's game. We're going to worry about the Bengals. We're going to worry about the Bengals.
One potential win at a time. One potential win at a time.
At this point, nigga, just let it all fly out. Let it all go.
They got a heck of a game today, too, with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I think the Lions have an opportunity to win. And last week's game, the Bengals against the Packers, I mean, those two teams, it looked like they were trying to lose. Yeah. Neither one of them wanted to win that game.
Five consecutive missed field goals.
Which was a record, I believe.
I don't even know how that happened.
This has been a heck of a year for field goals, and I talked to Maz and Ryan about this ever since they moved the extra point back, 17 yards. Kickers have been struggling. You look that particular week alone, that broke the record for field goals and added extra points missed in the same week. I believe it was something like 26 extra points and field goals missed after you included Monday Night Football, where there were 2 misses as well. It's just been a terrible year for field goal kickers, unless you're playing against the Detroit Lions. Unless you're playing the Lions.
That is the truth. All right. Well, we are broadcasting live here down at the Tin Roof. It's the DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show on 101 The Riff. You can stream it on YouTube as well on our website, WRIF.com. More football coming up. It's Kid Rock on the Riff.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What's going on, guys? We're checking in from the Jose Cuervo Zone. I'm Maddie filling in for Kennedy today. I asked for the biggest Bengals fans in the crowd today, and now I got these women here. They're not best friends, but they're here with Sydney and Lauren. What's going on, guys?
Nothing. Living it up. To watch the Bengals win.
Now, Sydney is from Flint, not from Cincinnati. Why are you a Bengals fan?
Joe Burrow. I love that man.
And where are you coming in from, Lauren?
Cincinnati. Hooday, baby.
How long have you been a Bengals fan?
My whole life.
Your whole life? What's your favorite thing about the team?
How they really keep us on our toes all the time.
Now, Sydney was telling me this elaborate plan she's got to get Joe Burrow's attention. What is that plan?
So the plan was to get front row seats, but that didn't happen. So we just got to think of a new plan to get his attention, and yeah.
Well, we have a plan for you. You're giving out 2 free front row tickets today, so maybe you'll get lucky and get those. Do we have any score predictions for today's ladies?
21-17. I'm going to say 37-7.
And who's winning?
Bengals.
All right, you heard it here. These ladies are voting for the Bengals. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, Maddie, thanks so much. Great job over there. And we are live at the Tin Roof in downtown Detroit. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Joik Bell here today, taking you up to kickoff. It's the Lions and Bengals. And, we were just
nervous? You got 2 pros out here, man. You got 2 former pros out here.
You got 3 pros.
Oh, excuse me.
No, you got 4 pros.
Excuse the heck out of me. My apologies, Mr. Armani.
Just pros in a different realm.
This is true, though. Pro is a pro, nonetheless. You're right. My apologies.
That's okay. It's funny, though, because coming downtown tonight for the first 2 games of the season, first 2 home games of the season, this is the 3rd game, the parking lot was $50, and now it's down to $40.
You know what that's telling me?
What does that tell you?
That attendance rate is down. They're trying to get the money any way that they can. It is a little quiet down here. It started off very exciting earlier in the year because fans hadn't been to games. They hadn't had the capacity that they have this year, which is back at full. Then you notice the Lions, they lose, a little less people. They lose again, a little less people. And one of those games, there actually was a Tigers game at the same time that there was a Lions game. So you just only imagine what the attendance rate would have been then. It's tough for the Lions to be 0-5 and the fans to want to come and support. I understand that, but you got to stay the course.
I am curious, Joik, to see the crowd today. There was about 50,000 fans last home game against Baltimore, and and today it seems a little bit more sparse out. But it's gonna be. I'm gonna be curious to see the crowd today as well.
It's a little bit more nippier today.
Yeah, it
is. That could have played a part. I know getting here, you have the marathon going on as well, so you got a lot of people about the marathon, and so that could play a huge factor in, the people we see around here. But as far as Lions fans going to the game and supporting the Lions, I mean, when they were 0-16, they were still having 50,000 people at the games. I think we still have some life in us, so let's see what happens.
Speaking of 1-16, Lions are 0-5 coming in trying to get their first win of the season, and we talked earlier on the riff. We talked about, the Lions in 2015, in 2018, they were 0-5 coming into this week of the season, and they got their first win. Joik was on that team. They beat the Chicago Bears, an interdivisional rival, interdivisional opponent. They came up, they won that game. Joik, you talked on riff, talk a little bit about on our show. How do you get the win when you're struggling, when you're 0-5? What is the turning point, and what do you guys do to get the win?
You know what? You said, of course, and you look at teams like this. You look at our team back then. We would do things right. But we would have those self-inflicted wounds that would set us back. I think the best way to win, the team who's going to win this game is going to be the team who makes the least amount of mistakes.
Okay.
And so I think it's capitalizing on those mistakes as well. And so for us, we capitalized on the mistakes. We minimized the mistakes we have. We minimized our penalties, and we pulled it out.
If you look at this game, too, it's going to feature two players who kind of were pegged for each other. Penei Sewell could have, and many people believe was going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals, in which case that would have left Jamar Chase to the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So you're getting a look at two high first-round picks. Burrow, of course, last year the number 1 overall pick, but Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell not going up against each other, but you'd like to see some improvement out of Penei Sewell for sure. He has regressed since that first week. I think we can all see that. And then Jamar Chase on the other side, he's doing things that we have not seen rookie receivers do in quite some time. He is going to be a big challenge to stop today.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Everyone talked about, Justin Jefferson last season with the Minnesota Vikings. He had an amazing year with Kirk Cousins, went to the Pro Bowl, had over 1,400 yards, had over 12 touchdowns. And they said that Jamar Chase was a better wide receiver. So when you're watching Justin Jefferson in the rookie year have that type of level of success in the NFL, you're like, no, this guy couldn't have been better than this. And now you're watching Jamar Chase and you're like, oh, holy moly, this guy was better than that. Jamar Chase is having the only person that had a better year so far after 5 games is Randy Moss. Just think about that for a second. The only person in NFL history that has had a better first 5 games as a rookie is Randy Moss. It lets you know to the level that Jamar Chase is playing with. And frankly, Joy, talk about when you have a guy that's so comfortable with a guy because they were teammates in college. They won a national championship together. They had success. They won, the Maxwell, which is the quarterback of the year. Yeah. They won the Biletnikoff, which I'm familiar with. When you have that, and now you have it in the NFL, the sky's the limit.
It's funny because everyone thought Penei Sewell was going to the Bengals just because of the beating that Joe Burrow took the previous year. And so I know for a fact that the owner of that team went to Joe Burrow and the GM and the coaches, and they went to him and said, listen, how do you feel about this guy? Does he work? What's your relationship with him? Did you like him in the locker room? Is he a good teammate? And I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow went to bat for his guy, which was a major part of him coming to or going to the Bengals. It's funny because you look at it, the rumors of us getting Penei Sewell and the Bengals taking Chase, it came out like the day before. I saw hearing rumors the day before and day of, that night and then the next morning. And I passed some information along to Sean Belizean at the time and said, listen, I think we're going to get Penei Sewell. I think we're going to get him. And he said, there's no way. There's no way. If Penei Sewell is there at 7, we don't need to walk to the podium. We need to sprint to the podium and call his name. And so when we selected him, I was one of the most excited guys to get him here. When you have a guy like Young, with Chase, you bring him in, and the numbers that he's putting up, averaging right under 100 yards a game, averaging almost 20 yards a catch, averaging a touchdown a game. He's putting up some crazy numbers.
And when you're a general manager in the NFL and you look at draft boards, and you see we're so used to, well, at least people like me, just regular fans that have never played the game, we're so used to looking at isolated years. Let's look at the draft this year and see who we could get. If you're a general manager in the league, you have to look at the pool this year and then look at the pool next year too, and almost base your draft on, well, if I get this guy here, I could get that guy, because next year's draft is filled with defensive tackles or something like that, or next year's draft is filled with offensive tackles. I'll be sure to get one of them, but next year's draft has no high-end wide receivers that I'll be able to get. So I almost believe you have to draft based on that. And if you're the Bengals, you have a transitional talent. I mean, a special talent in Chase. Maybe next year you get the offensive tackle.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, the Detroit Lions know a little bit about that. Look at what we did in 2007. What the Detroit Lions did, they draft Calvin Johnson. They had to wait to get their quarterback. Yeah. They get Calvin Johnson in 2007. Then they get Matthew Stafford in 2009. Then you get the combination. Then you get it for years to come. And they played 9 years together. That's the same thing the Lions could have had if, Penei Sewell, if they didn't take him in Cincinnati. Take him. You draft Jamar Chase. You have to draft a guy like Jamar Chase because he is a guy that transcends offenses. Yeah. He is a guy that once you get your offense the way you want it, you have an offensive line. You have running backs. Yeah. Once you get everything the way you want it, you get the quarterback. He'll be there. Same thing that happened with Stafford and Calvin Johnson. You got Calvin Johnson first. He had to wait a couple years. And then you got Stafford. And then you saw the connection for years to come.
You know what? It's great. So we had a conversation on how do you start building a team. For me, I'm going to start building a team in the trenches. That's why I love getting Penei Sewell. Now, He's regressed a little bit the past couple
21
weeks.
years old,
though. Yeah, he's young. And the thing is, the first week you saw how dominant he was. He did a great job on Bosa. I mean, did a great job on him. And then you move forward. He takes that injury. He has an ankle injury. And Braylon, we know how playing with an ankle injury can really set you back. It's tough, especially at that
size, at that weight, at that height.
And you need to plant your foot in order to stand your ground, to cut back. So he's been limited. But even with that being said, he hasn't been terrible.
But here's an interesting thing, though, and Maz talks about it all the time on our show, Bottom Line, is we already had a pretty good offensive line. You look at what you had. You had Taylor Decker. You have Ragnow. You have one of the best lines in the NFL. I think they were ranked 9th coming into the season before you draft Penei Sewell. Do you take a Micah Parsons? Are you mad the Lions didn't take Micah Parsons, who's a linebacker that plays everything? Are you mad at the quarterbacks that they maybe didn't take a chance on? Mac Jones was sitting there. Justin Fields was sitting there. Penei Sewell is going to be a good talent for the Detroit Lions. I am 100%. I believe in that. I have 100% faith and belief in that. Yeah. But are you mad that they already had a situation that was pretty good, and they could have went elsewhere to get players such as Mac Jones, such as Justin Fields, and definitely such as Micah Parsons?
You know what? I'm going to say no. I'm glad they did what they did because in either way, when you're building your defensive line, you're building your offensive line, you build your trenches, they're going to make everyone else better. Right? Yep. When you're not getting when you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, it's going to make it harder on your DBs. Right? If you're not protecting your quarterback, it's going to make it harder for the run game and the passing game. So you need to start there, building from the trenches, and then you move out. Then you go get your quarterback. And our quarterback in Jared Goff, he's a placeholder. He'll do for the next 2 years. Right? And for me, this far, he hasn't shown me that he's the quarterback we need here in Detroit. Right? He hasn't shown me that.
Put a pause on that. We are going to take a pause for 10 seconds until we rejoin our friends from Riff 101 WRIF.
Eat-ups and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell.
That's the way we do it. That's the way we do it. We do it, baby. I love it. I love Jake.
Man, you guys over there with your personal secrets, man.
You said what?
You guys over there with your private secrets.
Oh, no, that was just me and Jay having
Yes, that's right. We are broadcasting live here at the Tin Roof for the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show on the Riff. I'm Jade alongside Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, and my good friend Joik Bell. We're becoming like best friends over here.
No, we're jealous over here.
Watch out, Kennedy.
What's going on over there, man?
Listen, the first time I met you was the show that we did. What was that? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And so I'm prepared. I got all my notes. I got everything. I'm like, where is this guy? Like, what are we doing here?
Joik's got it all upstairs.
Shots fired.
And then he just smiles, and you're like, all right, fair enough.
How could you beat that?
How can you not?
Stop it.
Well, it's time.
See, I came in and Jay instantly fired. Oh, just so casually comes in here.
But you know the good thing about that is we're so used to jokes in the locker room and professional football. Like when she fired on you, it endeared her to you. It was like, oh man, she's one. This is what we do.
You know, I actually missed that. We got to keep that going. So that's why I continue to do it.
I can fire all day. I got jokes all day, baby. Well, it's time now for now we have Bell and Braylon, so we could do the Braylon-Bell breakdown. How are the Lions going to win the game today? We need to get a win. We need to give some hope in this city. My God.
It's two things. Obviously, we just talked about Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is the wide receiver of the future, not only for the Cincinnati Bengals, but for the NFL as well. No one else on that offense is proven. You know, we talk about T. Higgins, you talk about Tyler Boyd, you talk about Uzama, you talk about Joe Mixon. None of those players are proven. None of those players have just broken out of the shell and had 3 back-to-back great games, 4 back-to-back great games. The only person is Jamar Chase. So what you do is, and Joy gets familiar with this, you play jump coverage. You beat him up at the line of scrimmage, and you put the safety or a nickel corner over top of him, and you shout at him all game. You make him beat the line of scrimmage as well as beat zone with a man over top the whole game, and you force those other offensive players to step out of the shadows. You force Joe Burrow to beat you. You force Joe Burrow to get the ball to other players to see if they can make plays. Also, the Detroit Lions are averaging 6 yards a half in the start of this season. That is terrible. They do not start fast. Dan Campbell talks about starting fast. Joy, talk to me about the importance of starting fast in the NFL, but especially for your former team, the Detroit Lions.
You know, the first way is take shots.
There you go.
You know, take shots. Take a few shots here and there.
Why not?
Why not? What do we have to lose?
Right.
You know, what do we have to lose? Take a few shots here and there. The thing is, what we do need to do is the last 2 weeks we have 8 sacks against us, right? And it's terrible. And then last week, you know, we did pretty well. We held them to about 2 sacks, which isn't good at all, right? And so, but moving forward, we're going to have to protect the quarterback. Our run game is doing good, though, which is going to continue to do well. We have to make sure we're doing that well. And then as far as defensively, right now, Trey Hendrickson, he's on fire right now. You know, has 4.5 sacks this year, had 2 last week, and he's playing at a high level. He's getting his money worth right now for the Bengals.
You know what the Lions are doing very well this season, besides losing, is
Hi-yo.
They're moving the ball really well in between the 20s.
Yeah.
Now, if they can just not turn it over when they get inside the red zone,
what a concept.
This team might be 2-3, heaven forbid 3-2, if they're not giving the ball to the other team.
That's true.
And the biggest thing about that too, it's not, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not the Lions turning the ball over. It's Jared Goff turning the ball over. Jared Goff with interceptions. Jared Goff with center quarterback exchange. He's the one turning the ball over.
And Anthony Lynn was really forward
and
about
he was
that
honest. And that's what I appreciate about A-Lynn, as we call him. A-Lynn went after him, told him what he needs to do better. It's not the Lions turning the ball over. It isn't fumbles. It isn't drop passes. It is Jared Goff himself.
You know, he did say that, but go ahead, Jay.
Well, no, but you were saying earlier that we need to protect the quarterback, and because of him and his fumbles, he's got the most in the league, I think. They need to protect him even more. And the conversation that we had last week, too, with his small hands, and I hate to say it because it sounds like you're making fun of them.
Yeah.
But I had a conversation with some of the guys at the radio station. We were talking about it, and they were comparing him to myself. They're like, listen, I have incredibly tiny hands. There's no way. And so you have to protect him. You have to give him as much time and let him feel relaxed and not like he's going to get sacked.
But the one thing about the tiny hands conversation, like there is something to having tiny hands. You're gripping that ball, like you grab it.
Oh, absolutely.
And being able, you see some of the quarterbacks and receivers, they have the ball. They can do whatever they want where they have big hands. But they drafted him first overall. I don't want to hear anything about these small hands. I don't want to keep giving him that excuse and that crutch. Oh, small hands. Oh, small hands.
That's not going to change.
The hell with that. Your hands were the same size when you came out of college and you were the number 1 pick overall. Your hands were the same size when you threw for 4,600 yards and went to the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear anything about his small hands. He got it done before. You got to get it done again.
You know what? He had a good team around him.
He still didn't.
He had a good team. He had a good team around him.
But
and then you know what? Also, when you're taking these amount of sacks and you're not comfortable in that pocket, you lose confidence. You lose confidence.
That's true.
And now that could play a major part in it as well. Now, you're not going to come out and say that, but in the back of his mind, when he's behind that center, he's running for his life.
Joy, you guys know better than anybody, and this is one thing I always tell Braylon. The best thing you can give a professional athlete is confidence.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do to a professional athlete is take that confidence away. If you are playing with no confidence, you are a lost player.
We talked about that last week. It's the situation that I think the team, like you had mentioned last week, there's no confidence in the coaching, and the coaching has no confidence in the team.
You know what?
And so what are we doing?
But center quarterback exchange, that's minus that. The center quarterback exchange is one thing that he can control. Am I not correct, Joy? Center quarterback exchange, that's something he can control. Yeah. Outside of that, not having confidence definitely does play a factor. But the center quarterback exchange is something that he can work on, something that he can ensure.
You know what? I'm looking at our defensive line right now. Now, if you look at Cincinnati online, they're susceptible to giving up sacks. Last week they gave up 3. We talk about what do they need to do to win. They need to get after the quarterback, right? The offense needs to stay on the field. And Anthony Lynn, he did get on Joe Burrow, but he also took some of that on himself, which, as player, we know, it's never the coach's fault. Sure. It's your fault. Yeah. It's your fault when you're out there, because I'm always in the mindset of this is a player's game. You know, the coaches, they call the plays, we run it. And Anthony Lynn said that, hey, listen, it might be me. Listen, it could be me the way I'm calling the plays I'm calling in the red zone. And then he went on to say, then we have turnovers. Then that's when he was able to get on his quarterback, but in a respectful way. And so when you're critiquing a player play, you can always respect that from a head coach.
The one thing that we haven't asked, Ryan, and I want you to break this down and talk to us about this, is, we've talked about what they've done wrong. We've talked about how close they've been. We've talked about the turnovers, the miscues, the self-inflicted negatives. But what we didn't talk about, what is the potential for the Detroit Lions play today based on how they're going to rally around Dan Campbell after his speech and after his emotions all on Sunday and Monday? That's
always the wild card, because if you look at NFL football games, a lot of this is about matchups too. What does Cincinnati do that – does Detroit defend what Cincinnati does well? Cincinnati reminds me a lot of what Minnesota does on offense. They drive the ball down the field with the wide receiver.
Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson.
Yes, Justin Jefferson. Yeah. And then, of course, Adam
Another
Thielen.
LSU stud.
Those two guys were held in check last week. So this matchups well with the Detroit Lions, I think, Cincinnati's offense, because they do a lot of the similar things. They're playing 2 teams back-to-back that match up really well. The game plan should be very similar, and I like the Lions today. I think they'll have a chance to win in the fourth quarter. Will they win? Yeah. I don't know, but they will have the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to win it or take the lead, and that's all you can ask.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, because one thing that Cincinnati does well is they give up a lot in that second half. If you look at what Aaron Rodgers did to him last week, he came out the second half and he torched him. And so the thing is, it's going to come down, and what it's going to come down to is what we talked to, or we alluded to earlier, is our field goals, our extra points. I think this game is going to come down to 3 points or less.
You know it's going to be good, Joy. And tell me how many times, like, when you have an offense that is struggling and a defense and that's playing pretty decent, what happens? The defense starts to get pissed at that offense. The defense starts to say, you know what, darn, we can't do anything right. Every time we give them a chance, they can't get us that touchdown or that point or that drive. If the Lions come out and surprise their defense, if they get a score, if they take the lead, if they get some yards rushing and passing, get some excitement, you know what will that defense do, Joy?
It's funny. We talked about this before. We talked about when you have a quarterback that can put you in a position to win, it makes the other side play a little bit. It makes the other side play a little bit more. I remember I was playing. We were playing the Patriots, and I had a run down the sideline. I ran a guy over and I broke another tackle on the sideline, and then the hardest hit I took on that play was Nick Fairley coming and hit me on the sideline. That's how you run. That's how you run. And he came and threw his shoulder into me. I said, that was the hardest. I came out the next play because I said, we watched it on film, and I don't know if you remember Curtis Mike.
I was at that game. You guys won that game.
Yeah, we did. It was preseason, and then Curtis Mike said, listen, Dre, this is the hardest hit you took on this play. And it was funny. But no, that's what you do. It's the energy on the field. And when people don't believe in it, come to the game and look at the energy, look at the plays, look at the momentum, and you'll see how the other side starts to play better, because now that energy, now you want to make a play.
Energy is real. Yeah. Energy is real.
And one way to get that energy, Joy, is to finish one of these games and get a win. Because I have to imagine the longer this goes, the more doubt that creeps into your head about, oh boy, is this, are we? Is this?
You know what? No, I don't think so. I don't think this year. I don't think so. I mean, if you look at the way they're playing.
And I hope not.
No. If you look at the way they're playing, it's not one game where they're holding their heads down, they're going to the coach, they're pointing fingers, they're laying down. There's not one game I could point out and say they're laying down.
Right.
No, but you got to admit that after getting beat down every week after week, it's going to start affecting you a little bit.
I think you need to get a win one of these games.
We got to get a win. I think that today, I believe that today is the day. And there's a lot of people who are like, listen, the Bengals are a great team. They're a great team. But then in that same sentence, they're like, but they've got some flaws.
Everybody in the NFL. Even the bad teams are good teams.
That is true. This is the DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show. We're broadcasting live down here at the Tin Roof, and actually we have got some tickets to give away to the game. So come on down and find the Riff Crew, and we're going to hook you guys up. Don't forget the marathon going on today. So there is some road closures. You can check out all the details at WRIF.com. But come on out and join us. The DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show. It's the Offspring on the Riff.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Week 6 in the NFL. We are once again at Lady Jane's World Headquarters in Birmingham, Michigan. The Lions are 0-5, but they're playing hard. Does it give the fans here any encouragement whatsoever? Is they go for win number 1 against the Bengals? It's this week making the cut. All right, we got Nick here in the chair. Nick, trying to find some hope here. We'll look around some other NFL games. Give you any energy moving forward. Do you believe they can get it right?
I mean, how could you not be at least hopeful? I mean, these guys have played the Baltimore Ravens, they played the 49ers, they played everybody extremely tough this year. So you're facing a Cincinnati Bengals team this weekend that has a little bit of a beat-up quarterback. I like their chances.
This is the week.
I'm not saying it's the week, but I feel very good about it.
All right, positivity over here with Nick. Let's go see who else we can find. Tom looking good here at Lady Jane's. All right, Lions playing hard, trying hard. Does it give you any hope?
At this point, it's hard to see hope. We haven't had hope in many years. I can't expect it now.
What about the game against Cincinnati? They're not playing so great right now. They got a good quarterback, but is this the week the Lions get their win?
God, I hope they got to pull off at least one.
They need one, right? They're not going 0-17.
We can only hope. Not betting, put it that way.
That's good. That's good. All right, let's check in with this guy. Excuse me, sir. Darren McCarty. Oh, my.
I need to get the haircut. I need to tighten it up. And don't we all come to Lady Jane's?
Big fans of Lady Jane's.
Big fans because it's wicked awesome.
Hey, D-Mac, want to ask you about the Lions playing really hard. Does it give you any encouragement moving?
It does, and if you turn into Big D Energy on Woodward Sports Network, we're only 5, 6, 7. We've got 34 games. We've got 2 seasons, so the effort's there. I like it. Go Coach Campbell.
Look at that. Go Coach Campbell. Go Big D Energy. Woodward Sports, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. My man. Wicked awesome. All right, we got a lot of energy over here. Now back to you.
Welcome back. We're checking in from the Cuervo Zone. I'm Maddie. I'm here with Jeffrey and Graham today. They're about to give us your best shot face. Here we go. Yep. Take those shots. Woo! How are we feeling today, guys?
Feeling great. Ready for a Lions win. Lions are going to get first win. We're feeling good.
So we think they're going to get their first win today.
Dan Campbell cried last week. It's a lock.
So you are probably the only person here with that jersey on specifically. It's a Goff jersey, ladies and gentlemen. Why that jersey?
Because I love Jared Goff. He's our QB1, and he's going to get us a win today.
But you just bought that today?
Yes.
So it has yet to see disappointment?
Yes.
It's a good luck jersey. It's a good luck jersey. You heard it here first. This is a good luck jersey. These guys think we're going to get the win today. Do we have any score predictions?
45-0 Lions. More realistic, 24-21 Lions win and a game-winning field goal.
You heard it here first, and the sun just came out here in Detroit, so hopefully that means we're getting the win. Guys, back to you.
All right, Maddie, thanks so much. We are here live at the Tin Roof in downtown Detroit in advance of the Lions and Bengals game right here at Ford Field. Home game number 3. Get win number 1 on the season. I'm Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards alongside Joy Bell is as well. We are It's actually filling in really nicely over here.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to take pictures with Braylon and Joik. So these guys are.
He's the Lions guy, man. They really want to take pictures with him, man. He's a fan favorite.
Dude, everybody loves Joik Bell.
How could
seriously.
you not?
And one of the things we're doing here today, if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, is giving away this Lions black.
That's a nice helmet right there, man.
Matted helmet. Signed by DeAndre Swift. How great is this? I would love to see the Lions rock one of these helmets, Braylon. I went in next door to the Detroit sports shop or whatever it is.
All Detroit
paraphernalia. And they have so many. They have a Lions blue helmet, a white helmet, a chrome helmet, a black helmet. I'd like to see the Lions go to one of these uniforms one of these days. Joik, wouldn't you love to wear this black helmet?
The black Matic? That's dope.
I mean, how sweet is that?
That's really fire.
I mean,
something like that is like what Deion said, man. You look good, feel good, play good. Like that right there looks good. It feels good. I guarantee it will help you play good.
You know what's funny? What is the process to be able to play in a helmet like that? I mean, how many levels is
they got to run it up the league? Yeah,
they got to run up the ladder.
Now,
who you're playing against, the colors, things like that.
Next year, I believe there's a number of years you have to wait before you could change your uniform because obviously, you know, licensing and you don't want people buying a new uniform every year. I mean, you probably do,
right.
But for whatever reason, next year the Lions could change their uniforms if they wanted.
They got the all white this year against Green Bay.
They need the all black.
The all black is dope.
With the Honolulu blue.
The all black is dope.
Simplicity is
that would be fire.
So we'll leave that up there for now. Guys, I want to look around the
college,
rest.
Right? Or NFL. What are we doing? I'm excited.
Yeah,
whatever you want to do.
Let's do a little NFL now because there's a couple of games in the NFC North I want your guys' take on. The Packers and Bears today, one of the oldest rivalries in football. Green Bay goes to Chicago, a 4.5-point favorite against the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields has not, in my opinion, looked as good as we thought he would look. You know, but how hard is it for a rookie quarterback just to show up and look like he's an all-pro? I mean, it's going to take him some time.
Yeah, you know what? One of those things, and it could take time, but one of the things you have to realize is what Matt Nagy has done. Matt Nagy has hampered him. Matt Nagy didn't come out and make him the starter. You didn't build an offense around him. All the successful teams that have rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, you look at the Justin Herberts, the Lamar Jacksons, the Patrick Mahomes, these guys, these organizations, offensive coordinators, the head coaches, they draft them and they build the offense around them. They bring the offense that they did in college to have success. That's not what Matt Nagy did. Matt Nagy's not looking at it as a project that I want to be a part of. He's looking at, I may not be here. He went with Andy Dalton. Doubled down and went with Andy Dalton. And finally, because Justin Fields and everybody was causing ruckus and mayhem, he put Justin Fields in there and named him a starter after a win. I think part of that is the problem. If Matt Nagy would have drafted him and given him a chance to be the guy from April till now, he would be ahead of the clip. But he's not ahead of the curve. He's struggling. They're 3-2 very quietly, but it's Matt Nagy's fault, and he's going slow because of that.
And, Joik, when you look at Justin Fields, because Andy Dalton got all the first-team reps all throughout OTAs, all throughout the preseason, all throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, Justin Fields is behind in the number of reps that he's gotten so far. So it is, not expected or not unexpected that he is as lackluster as he has seemed. I mean, we've seen him in flashes.
It takes time. Like you said, it takes time. But when you sit there and you say he's not as good as we all thought, I don't – who is we?
We thought he was going to be an all-pro this year.
You guys thought that?
No, don't put me in that. What I thought was
Braylon thought he was going to be the MVP of the league.
I still like him, but they didn't give him a chance. I give you another example. People don't talk about Josh Allen's first year. People don't talk about what Josh Allen did his first year.
True.
Josh Allen struggled in Buffalo his first year. Now he's at a position where he's one of the league favorites to be the MVP, but he struggled his first year. Buffalo had to
first couple years.
Buffalo had to figure it out, and they did, but they took too long. That's the same thing I'm saying with Matt Nagy. They took too long to figure it out. Justin could be ahead of the curve, but still, to your point, he's not having the year that we thought he was going to have.
I'm going to tell you right here. You tell me any good quarterback that's ever come out of
Ohio State. It's really
hard.
It's really hard.
In the last
Tom Tupa.
Who?
That's a joke. Tom Tupa was a punter. Remember Tom Tupa was a kicker at Ohio State, and then came to the league as a punter for the Jets, and then had to play quarterback in the game when the Jets got 3 quarterbacks knocked out. Just a random fact.
Yeah, Ohio State has not had many successful quarterbacks come out of that program, that's for sure.
Because of the style of offense that they run.
Yes, exactly.
Dump the ball off to quick, fast wide receivers, quick, fast running backs from Florida, and let the playmakers do the work.
Minnesota on the road at Carolina. The Vikings a 1-point favorite against Carolina. Carolina's looked all right, but with Christian McCaffrey, their best player, hurt, guys. And I got a minute left before we rejoin Riff. So give me 10 seconds on this one here.
I go first. They got to get on the board. And when I say on the board, talking about the Vikings, Dalvin Cook didn't play last week, but it doesn't matter. You still have Thielen. You still have Justin Jefferson. Figure out a way to get the ball down the field.
You know, the Vikings, they got to win last week against us, obviously. They need to keep the ball rolling. And Justin Jefferson needs to continue doing what he's doing. And hopefully there'll be enough to get him through this game. We're
going to pause 10 seconds until we rejoin our friends at 101 WRIF. We are live at the Tin Roof in downtown Detroit. Lions and Bengals pregame.
Every Sunday counts as a win when you're partying with 101 The Riff. This is the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show.
Yes, that is right. We're broadcasting live down here at the Tin Roof for the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show. My name is Jade alongside Ryan Romani, Braylon Edwards, and Joik Bell, and we are hoping our Lions get their first win today. I know you guys are kind of going around the league. I actually forgot that we've got a London game going on.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see it. It was 17-13 Jacksonville in the third quarter, and they're not doing great.
No,
that's another situation.
Yeah,
that's a whole deal.
So Jacksonville leads right now in the third quarter, 17-13. They are in London against the Miami Dolphins. Jacksonville and Detroit, the only 2 unbeaten teams in the National Football League right now.
Sun's coming out right now, so it feels a lot better. You know, just going around the NFL, and I talked earlier, this is going to be a trap week in the NFL. And the reason why I say that, you look at the Ravens going against the Chargers. Chargers are red hot. Ravens could easily be 1-3 right now. Everybody's making a lot of what Lamar Jackson did. You know, minus the 66-yard field goal against the Detroit Lions, a fumble on the goal line by Carlos Hilaire-Edwards, the running back for the Chiefs. You know, fumble on the goal line, that's another win they got. You look at the Colts game and the play that they got where they got the touchdown on the lateral. They called it not a lateral. Yeah. That could easily be a loss. You look at the Packers going against the Bears. The Bears are quietly 3-2. The Packers shouldn't have lost to the Bengals last week, and they're still just playing average football. The Cardinals are the best team in football in terms of the record. Yeah. But the Cardinals and Kyler Murray and Joy can talk about this. It's a different when you're playing in domes. It's a difference when you're playing on Bermuda grass. Now Kyler Murray has to bring his 4-3 to this thick and wet and nasty grass that is Cleveland Browns Stadium. Talk about playing in, the Detroit Lions playing inside against the Chicago Bears at Ford Field versus going to Chicago in November.
You know what? So all this plays a major part. And the cleats you wear, the type of cleats you wear. Are you going to wear screw ends? Are you going to wear molded? Are you going to turf? How's the weather? Did it rain? Do I have to change my cleats? All these plays, it plays a major factor. The footing, all of these things. The biggest thing is going to affect is the kicking game. All right, and so you have a team. So when you bring them into the dome, the weather is not a factor anymore, and so you eliminate that from something you have to worry about going into a game.
Do you think though, like if they're used to, for the Browns, who that's their home stadium, if they're used to playing, right, that team should be conditioned and used to playing it. So going into a dome, now all of a sudden it's balmy and I'm hot.
You know,
and it's warm and my shoes aren't wet and they should be.
So it's a bonus.
Sure. But it might change your approach, right?
Not really, because even here in Detroit, we're not practicing outside in December.
Right.
We're practicing indoors.
Right.
The only time the only time we'll go outside is if we go to say when I played for the Bears, we were inside the whole time, and then when we had to go play a team that was outdoors, then boom, we'll practice outside to get used to that cold weather, and we'll practice outside.
I'm telling you, I'm not used to that cold weather right now. I got gloves on. I feel like it's freezing.
Yeah, that'd be something new for Kyler Murray. You know, he's played his whole career at Oklahoma. He's played great grass. Even in the Big 12 schools, they're not used to necessarily the coldness, so it's a lot warmer down there. Yeah. Better grass naturally all year. He played baseball. Great grass in baseball, the dirt of the infield. He's not used to this type of weather, this type of fields and this type of conditioning. You know, here's another game that interests me, and I want your take on this, Joy. The Dallas Cowboys, to me, are the best team in the NFC right now. But they're going to a place that is known to shut quarterbacks, running backs, and offenses down. They're going to Gillette Stadium to play against Bill Belichick and those New England Patriots. Talk about what Belichick and that defense can do to stop the red-hot Cowboys.
You know, it's funny. Belichick is a great coach when it comes to stopping quarterbacks in defensively. So what he does well is he studies every quarterback, and every quarterback is different. You know, you have a younger quarterback going in, so you might not have to do 2 different game plans. You know, I remember I played with Peyton Manning. Coaches would have to do 2 game plans, one for the first half, one for the second half, and just throw away the whole game plan for the first half because he'll eat you alive. I'm going to be interested to see how they go about it for Kyler Murray.
We do have some Lions inactives today. Eric Banks, Trinity Benson. Boy, Trinity Benson, man, my goodness. Can't stay healthy, man. Jason Cornell, Mark Gilbert, Jesse Lamonier, and Daryl Worley. So nobody really no shockers in there, let's say that.
Yeah.
So we still have a chance. You're saying there's a chance.
Right. All our guys are healthy.
You know, it sucks because you look at, you still have guys on IR that's not playing.
Right.
You know, you still have guys that aren't playing that's on IR. And right now we got 2 of our best offensive linemen on IR.
One of the crazy things about
it. Go ahead.
I was going to say,
ahead,
one of the things this team has to figure out how to do, and maybe this is Anthony Lynn, and maybe this is Jared Goff, and maybe it's probably a combination of both. They've got to find a way to get T.J. Hockenson the ball. T.J. Hockenson in weeks 1 and week 2 caught 8 passes each game. He has caught 8 passes total in the last 3 games combined. So obviously teams are doubling and tripling him. Yeah. He is really the only threat they have as far as a pass catcher goes. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a number 3 guy, a slot receiver at best right now in his rookie season. He's being asked to be the number 1 guy right now, so it's incumbent upon Anthony Lynn and Dan Campbell and Jared Goff to find a way, get creative, and get T.J. Hockenson the football.
It's tough, you know, when you're the tight end. Because tight ends play they play inside. They play close to the line of scrimmage. So when the tight end is your guy, like you look at a guy like Travis Kelce, they beat Travis Kelce up. But the difference is when you have Travis Kelce, you also have Tyreek Hill. You also have Mecole Hardman. You also have Carlos Hilaire-Edwards. You also have Patrick Mahomes. Hello? When you have T.J. Hockenson, and that's your guy, that's the guy, and they haven't figured out anything around him as well as a running game, they can easily beat him up. And that stuff takes a toll. That beating up at the line of scrimmage, it's not like double-teaming wide receiver where he's getting beat up by another cornerback or a safety. You know, a tight end, when he's getting beat up, it's a chip by a D lineman. It's a linebacker in his face. It's a safety coming down on him. So
it hurts.
There you go. You took the words out of my mouth. It hurts.
It hurts, and then it slows you down. And what it does, when it slows you down, that means you give your defensive line more time to get to the quarterback. And you don't have time to sit back there and wait. You see, we've taken 8 sacks in the last 2 weeks. There's no time to sit back and wait. But what you do in those type of situations, you look at matchups, all right? You look at the matchup. All right, so they're double teaming him. They double him. Who else? What matchup do we like here? And what they've been doing that I like, they getting DeAndre Swift out there on the linebackers underneath, and he's catching the ball in the open field. He's able to make plays and turn a small 4 to 5 yard catch and turn it into an explosive play.
Want to get you some Bengals inactives? They only have 4 inactives and 52 men on the active roster. I mean, I don't know too many teams that go to battle without the allotted 53-man roster, but they only have 52 active today, 4 inactive. Trey Flowers, most notably, the inactive in that case. The Trey Flowers they picked up from Seattle earlier this week, the defensive back. So very rare. I didn't even know that was an option, that you could only have 52 guys on the active roster. I thought that'd be like a league union type thing.
I don't know. Because
that's 11 on the field.
Yeah, because when I play, like, we can have 53 guys on the roster, but even out that 53 guys, like 8 guys are inactive anyway.
Sure.
So you only have 45 guys playing. So you only got 45 guys playing in the game anyway.
Yeah, right.
So that 53 really doesn't make a
right.
You're 45 dressed to a certain extent anyway, right? 45 or something.
I feel like every player counts when it's the Lions. We need them all. We might need you guys to go down there.
It's funny
skip on over to Ford Field. Jersey up.
Joyce in shape is right there.
It's a difference between being in shape and then being in football shape.
Right.
You can only get in football shape by playing football.
Man, is it ever?
That's the only way you can get in football shape.
You got to be prepared. It hurts. Well, we are broadcasting live down here for the DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show. The Lions taking on the Bengals. 1 o'clock game time at Ford Field. Stop on by the Tin Roof and see us before you head to the stadium. And we do have a pair of tickets to give away. So come on by and try and win those tickets. You can head on in and watch the Lions get their first win. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right here on 101 WRIF.
The French's start
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What's up, guys? We're checking back in from the Cuervo Zone. I'm here with Macho Man Gary and the Den Defender. Guys, what's going on today?
Oh, my God. You look good wearing the Motorhead's helmet. Oh, yeah. We got a little Detroit Lions action going on today. Ford Field, baby. Taking on the Bengals.
So tell me, how did you become Detroit's Macho Man?
You know what? We go to away games every year just to reconnect college buddies, best friends. We're in Carolina. Never been there. And those fans took us in, tailgated with us, and they're all super fans, all dressed up. We're like, we can do that.
So tell me your biggest secret.
My biggest secret? This isn't my real hair. Oh!
What's your hair look like? Take it off. Oh my gosh, he's bald. Whoa. Well, guys, do you think Detroit's going to get their first win here today?
Yes, they will. Hells yes.
Hells yes.
My coach, MCDC. MCDC. MCDC.
You heard it here first, guys. Back to you.
What's going on, Lions fans? This is Corey Woods, your Detroit Lions beat reporter at the Woodward Sports Network, and I'm right outside of Ford Field. I hope you guys can hear me because it is loud out here. Lions fans are getting ready because they know what is about to take place. They are trying to get that elusive win, the first one of the city, as they take on the Cincinnati Bengals here today at 1 o'clock. Now, look, I got a few keys to victory today. One of the main ones that the Lions have to focus on is rushing the ball. You got to get the ball in Jamal Williams' hands at all times, especially in the red zone. Jared Goff has had a tendency to fumble in the red zone, have a turnover. You never know with this guy right now. And you know what? Anthony Lynn spoke to it earlier this week, and that's something that we got to look out for. Here's what he said.
Back off of that, he's had some issues getting in the end zone over the past couple of weeks in the first half. Has there been any discussion about maybe changing up a few things so he can start out hotter?
Yeah, not turning the ball over. I mean, we can start right there. We've had 4 turnovers in the last couple of weeks in scoring territory. So, when we improve in that area, and that can start with me, the play selections I call when I get in those areas. But it also starts with our protection and our quarterback decision making. So we can all get better in that area, and we plan on doing that. But having 4 turnovers in the scoring territory, that's been tough, not coming away with points in those situations.
They heard it from Anthony Lynn. Now, here's one thing that the Lions also have to watch out for. They got to watch out for that Bengals defense. Logan Wilson and Trey Hendrickson have been on a tear this year. Logan Wilson, he's looking like the best linebacker in all of football, something that Anthony Lynn also pointed to. But you know what? Enough of talking to me. Let's go talk to some fans real quick. What kind of jersey is that? What jersey you got on?
Look, Bengals.
Bengals? What are you doing here?
Watch the Bengals game.
Well, of course you're going for the Bengals, but what we got a score for me today?
Bengals 27, Lions 10.
And you only give the Lions 10.
Well, they haven't been scoring very much, so.
Who do you think is going to be a big performer in today's game?
Burrow.
Here we go. We got a Lions fan. He has on the right colors. What do you got for today's score?
Hopefully we can get our first win. I think overall we haven't been in most of the games. Let's just follow through for all 4 quarters. Let's get our first win.
All right, got a score for me?
21-17 Lions.
Oh, who's going to be the player of the game?
What's that?
Who's going to be the player of the game?
Jamal Williams.
There it is. You heard it from a few Lions fans. They're amped up. They're ready to go ahead and get this started. And you know what? The Lions got to go ahead and get this first win. Because if they do not win today, the Lions do not win today, who knows when they're going to get that first one? Is it going to be against the Rams? Is it going to be on Thanksgiving Day against the Bears again? Who knows? This is Corey Woods, your Detroit Lions beat reporter at the Woodward Sports Network. Checking in with your Roar and Woodward report. See you next time.
Alex Smith.
All right, and we are back live here at the Tin Roof in downtown Detroit, getting ready for kickoff here. Lions and Bengals, the 0-5 Detroit Lions taking on the 3-2 Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals, man, what a heartbreaker last week. But we'll see 5 missed kicks in that one. The Bengals should be 4-1. That's for sure, guys. But I wanted to look around before we jump back. into some NFL talk at the top of the hour, guys. For the next couple of minutes, I just want to go around college football and some of the things that we saw yesterday. Number 2, Iowa goes down at home against Purdue. I mean,
Purdue.
was that it's just one of those things where you're looking at it, Braylon, you're like, I feel like that was one of those letdown spots that happen each year in college football when some team just sneaks up on you. That was yesterday, Purdue at Iowa.
I don't know if it's a letdown spot. We talked about it on Friday. You know, Iowa was a fraudulent number 2. They had an elite defense, but they had no offense. I saw that in the Penn State game. They got 3 extra possessions by the Penn State Nittany Lions at home and couldn't do anything with it. They only scored 22 points. So, you know, they just got exposed for what they were. They were an average offense at best with an elite defense, and their defense did not show up. They were who we were. They were who we thought we were. But, Joy, I want to talk about another team. I want to talk about the number 1 team in the country, and that is Georgia. Georgia is the number 1 team in the country. They're the number 1 defense in the country, and they run the ball. Joy, talk about being in an SEC. When you're the number 1 defense, you have the number 1 rushing attack. How easy is it to just run through opponents for Kirby Smart and that team?
I'm telling you right now, when you're a coach, you feel like you can just call a play and it's just going to be successful. You know, you have a quarterback like that. You have your run game going. You can pass the ball. You can stop any team at will. At what point, what's your weak link? Is it your special teams? It's not your special teams.
And that's definitely not a weak link as
and
well.
And it might be your offense, right? I mean, it might be your offense because
we're not talking about Iowa. We're talking about Georgia.
Exactly. We're talking about Georgia. Stetson Fleming Bennett.
Georgia, I mean.
Stetson Fleming Bennett, the 4th, is his name. Winning games is his game. Like, he wins games. He finds a way to win. Last week, he doesn't have these mind-blowing stats where it's 400 yards passing, 500 yards passing. He's not doing it like Joe Burrow, but his completion ratage is up to 70%. He's 250 a game. It's nice and simple. When you have a defense that can play as well as the Georgia Bulldogs defense plays, you don't need to do much. Just don't beat the team. Just don't beat yourself. And that's what Stetson Fleming Bennett is doing, the 4th, for Georgia. He's doing it well.
So Georgia's doing that, but I still feel like there is no unbeatable team in college football this year. We've obviously seen, Alabama go down, Notre Dame go down, Clemson go down a couple of times. Ohio State has lost. There's nobody.
I don't see Cincinnati getting beat.
They won't get beat
in the regular season. Yeah. I have a thing against Cincinnati, Joik, and I'll tell you why.
What is it?
They played one tough game all year, and that was at Notre Dame. Now, they went and won that game.
Yeah.
But if you are a football team and your whole season is predicated on one game, I feel like you could work on that one game for the entire year.
Yeah.
But if you're like Michigan State, if you're Michigan, if you're Alabama, if you're Florida, if you're Georgia, you got to focus on the team right in front of you. You don't get that luxury to say, oh, we're playing Notre Dame in 6 weeks from now.
So you can't be an hour playing at Purdue and losing to Purdue.
Well, yeah.
At home. And you know what? Purdue is kind of clever.
I got something for you guys.
Yeah, after they won that game, they tweeted out, we beat the number 2 out of Iowa. So,
no way!
Iowa State.
I was
ranked number 2.
God,
so is that great or what?
And they said we beat the number 2 out of Iowa.
Is that great or
what? But here's the thing. Here's the thing that Cincinnati is going to struggle with, and I promise you this. Usually when you're a Power 5 team and you're Oklahoma, you're Alabama, you're Ohio State, you're Oregon, whatever those Power 5 schools are, Clemson in the past, Notre Dame, if you're undefeated, you control your own destiny. If you're undefeated, Ryan Armani, you control your own destiny. When you are Cincinnati, you don't control your own destiny when you play a schedule like this, and I tell you why. You got to hope Alabama loses again. You got to hope Alabama loses to Georgia. You got to hope that the Big Ten just beats each other up. You got to hope that Michigan loses. You got to hope that Michigan State loses. You got to hope that, Iowa did lose for you. You got to hope that Oklahoma loses. You got to have some hindrance. You got to hope that Notre Dame stays winning along the way to make your win look good. Because I tell you what, Oklahoma's undefeated and so is Oklahoma State. One of them is going to go to the college playoff. Alabama and Georgia. If Alabama happens to beat Georgia, they're both going. Now you're out again. Ohio State, if they run the tables, they're going again. If Michigan is to lose somehow to Michigan State goes undefeated, and then Michigan beats Ohio State, then Michigan and Michigan State can get into the college playoff. The problem with being a non-Power 5 team in Cincinnati, you don't control your destiny being undefeated, and that's going to be their Achilles heel, and they won't get in.
Let me swing it back to the NFL for 1 second. I want to get your guys' take on this because there's a game going on. There's a game going on in London right now.
The hell with what I was saying.
No, I got it. But
joking.
this just happened, so I want to get your take on it. There's a game going on in London right now. The Jacksonville Jaguars are unbeaten. They have a 17-13 lead. 4th and 2.
They're beaten.
4th and 2 from the 8-yard line. A field goal puts them up a touchdown. They go for it and don't get it. I mean, is Urban Meyer?
So now what are they up right now?
So they're up 17-13.
Got you.
If they would have just kicked the field
17-13.
goal.
What quarter?
4th quarter.
You know what, though? I'm going to tell you this. What do you have to lose?
Right.
A game.
All right. How many games have you won?
Yeah.
Go for it all.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that decision.
Yeah.
Because we go get it, right, and you get 4 more chances to get into that end zone. And now you're up 2 scores, and now,
the only I would agree with you on any other circumstance, Joik. The only reason I won't agree with this one is they're in London. You know how long of a plane ride that is to come all the way back across the pond, to think about the mistake that you made and losing a game that you could have won to get your first win. If they were not in London, if they would have been playing in Miami, that's one thing. Playing in London, that's a long ride back to think about the mistake you made.
Listen.
Do you? I mean, is that something?
Hey. Sometimes, I know guys who are miserable in their marriages because they didn't take the lead.
Well, he's one of them.
They didn't take the lead with the
He's
person
one
they
of
really
them.
wanted to marry. And so, like I said, scare money don't make money. Go for it.
That's a long ride back, though.
Hold on. I'm still talking, right? Hold on.
Oh, excuse us.
Okay.
But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's one of those things, though, too, like, because you don't get it, because you're not successful, I mean, you just open yourself up to be second-guessed. Like, no matter what you do, the only scenario in which you don't get challenged there is if you get it and score the touchdown.
What's the time on the clock?
14 minutes to go.
15 seconds.
Yep. 14 minutes to go.
A lot of team.
You know, so
Miami is already at the 40 now.
Yeah, so, I mean, their defense been holding them 13 points the whole game.
Yep.
Listen, we go for it. Our defense been playing well.
That's true.
Right,
I agree with what both of you guys are saying.
I don't mind them going for it.
The only reason why I'm saying is if they score now and you don't score again, that's just a long plane ride home to think about not kicking that field goal. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, they're going to get the ball back and say they come back down. They're at the 15.
Right.
They can kick a field goal and tie the game back up.
Yeah,
it's not possession, though. You lose the possession is what you lost.
It's intriguing to me because it's one of those things. You're damned if you do. You're damned if
Miami's
you don't.
Miami's now at Jacksonville 37.
And the reason why I wanted to talk about it immediately is because the Jacksonville Jaguars are a mirror image of the Detroit Lions. What was the knock on Dan Campbell against the Baltimore Ravens? The fact that they got down there, run, and instead of going for the touchdown, instead of taking a shot for the end zone, they played for the field goal, and we saw what happened there.
Yeah,
I mean,
so what do you do? Like you said, you're damned if you are, you're damned if you don't.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
You know what, though? I'm going to tell you this. So we get in that position again. Home. We're fourth and 2, 4th and 1. We're 3rd and 2. We're 3rd and 1. We better run the ball.
Yeah.
Do not throw it. Get it out of Jared Goff's hands. He has not been good on 3rd down, 3rd and short, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. He hasn't been good. Get the ball in the running back hands because they've converted on every 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, every 4th and 1, 4th and 2, except for one time.
If Jacksonville wins this game today, the Detroit Lions are going to win today. I'm just going to make that correlation.
Quick pivot. There are 2 undefeated teams in the state of Michigan, and one of them almost got scared yesterday. Talk about Michigan State and Indiana, man. They almost lost yesterday, 20-15. Everything that we thought about Michigan State in terms of high-powered offense, they were nowhere to be found yesterday, Ryan.
Well, there's no such thing to me as an ugly win in October anymore. When you're unbeaten, man, it's survive and advance at this point. And I think the blueprint, let's put it like this. Watching Indiana's defense swarm to Kenneth Walker yesterday and keep Naylor and Reed in front of them and not get behind the defense. I feel much better as a Michigan fan now going to East Lansing because at least I feel like the blueprint was there. Fly 4 or 5 guys to the ball every time you see Kenneth Walker get it. And I think I feel a lot better about it.
We talked about something, Joy. I don't want to get your take on it. We talked about with Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan has the bye this week. Then they play a tune-up game against Northwestern next week, and then they play Michigan State.
Yes,
Michigan State played the tune-up game against Indiana today, and they have the bye week next week going into the Michigan. If you were in that scenario, which position would you want to be in? Would you want the bye? Would you want to continue? Would you want the bye, game, or would you want game, bye, game?
Oh, man, that's tough. That's tough.
And you got 15 seconds to answer it.
You know what? I would want to buy the tune-up game and then then go against MSU. So I think Michigan has the upper hand.
I like that, but I tell you this, though. It was good that Michigan State struggled this week because now they have a bye week to figure things out before they get to Michigan.
We're going to pause 10 seconds, and when we come back, we'll be joined by our friends from 101 WRIF.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Back in from the Cuervo zone. I've got Terry Foster with me now. Terry, it's a beautiful day here in Detroit. Lions fans, as always, are hopeful that we're going to get the win today. What are your thoughts?
WRIF and WRIF HD1 Detroit. This is the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show on the Riff.
Yeah, we're broadcasting live down here at the Tin Roof for the Lions-Bengals game coming up at 1 o'clock over at Ford Field. My name is Jade alongside Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, and Joik Bell. And, of course, the London game is happening right now, Miami and Jacksonville. And you had made a comment, Ryan, on the Woodward show, which, of course, you guys can stream online. Urban Meyer's comparing him to Dan Campbell, and I get it because that was a weird call that he just made.
Now
right?
it's first and go for the Dolphins.
Yeah, so what happened was Jacksonville is up 17-13. They had it 4th and goal.
Now it's a touchdown.
They had it 4th and 2 from their 8-yard line going in, and instead of kicking the field goal to go up by a touchdown, they went for it, didn't get it.
Blocked.
5 or 6 plays later, Miami comes down the field. They score a touchdown and just take the lead now, 20-17.
Which is interesting because Miami's also not a great. They're not in the scheme of the NFL, right? They're not doing great. But I'll tell you what. After watching all the stuff that's going on with Urban Meyer, and listen, all of that, his personal life and everything, it's aside. But there was a big article that came out 2 weeks ago, and it was the top 5 most fireable coaches in the NFL. And, of course, Urban Meyer, number 1 on that list for a lot of reasons. First of all, the team and what he's doing coaching-wise, and then, of course, all of that personal stuff. And so, Braylon, you had made the comment, that's a long bus ride home from London, right?
Oh.
And so, like, if they don't get there...
Is that a home game?
Home game for Jacksonville.
It's a home. Okay.
It's early. It was early in. I think it was actually. I believe it was the very end of the third quarter, start of the fourth. So there is time left. Good catch.
Sure.
There
11
is time.
minutes left.
There is time left. However, that's an 11-point swing. You know, they were going for being up 20-13. Now they're down 20-17. That's an 11-point swing. I just think that's a long flight home. You got to take the points in certain situations. They're in London. They aren't playing the game in Jacksonville. It is in London. You got to take the points when you can.
Well, when you haven't won a game yet, like, what's the mentality? Like, let's talk about that. What is the mentality when you haven't won a game yet and you're going to go for it on 4th and 8?
I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing more dangerous in this world than a man who has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Sure, but then shouldn't you – but you're going for it all, but is that the strategy that makes sense?
Right there it does. Fourth quarter, our team has held this team to 13 points the whole game. It's 4th and 2. We're on our 8. We came all the way down here. It's not a thought that just came in my head. I didn't talk over with the assistant coaches. I talked to the OC. You know, I might have went to the players. You know, kind of like, you know, you look at the game with Baltimore, you know, when Coach Harbaugh went out there. Lamar!
Right.
Lamar!
Do you want to go for
Lamar! You want to go for it? All right, let's go. You know?
The bottom line, though, is when you go for it and don't get it, that's when you open yourself up for criticism. You've got, like, The only reason
If you're going to go for it, you had better go for it.
Right.
Look at the criticism he has already. You think going for it on 42 is the
Look,
biggest thing he has to do with?
The only reason we're talking about this is because they didn't get it. We're talking about him like he's a genius if he gets it.
No, but we talked about this before, though. Like, and you say that, like, at the end of the day, I disagree. There are times to go for it and be aggressive. There are times to say, we have nothing to lose, which is a lie. You got the number 1 draft pick this year in Trevor Lawrence. You have an owner in Shaq Khan who's willing to spend money and do whatever it takes for that franchise to be successful. You are in a good place if you buy your time. Don't play the I have nothing to lose card yet, because you do. You have your job. You have the potential of a great franchise in the Jacksonville Jaguars. All I'm trying to say is they started too soon. They started too soon with that. They should have gone for it and gotten the points in London. They didn't. Now it's an 11-point swing. They went 92 yards, which is demoralizing for the defense of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you already have a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who hasn't necessarily put it together, with the exception of the Cincinnati game a couple weeks ago on Thursday. So that right there just could have cost them.
Yeah, that was a good game. Yeah, that was probably one of the best games.
That was his best game.
Yeah.
He didn't turn the ball over. He had 250 yards passing. They just lost to a better team in the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm not basing this on anything other than just pure trend. If Jacksonville wins today, the Lions are going to win, and if Jacksonville loses, the Lions are going to lose.
That sounds like some crystal ball
I think
mentality
Jacksonville
right
and
there.
Let me look at my crystal ball.
Right.
Yeah.
As the only 2 winless teams in the NFL, they're going to stick together.
Yeah.
Solidarity.
Oh my God! Is that what we want? Is that what our hope is at this point? Like, oh my God, my heart.
Listen. We knew that this season was going to be what it is. The Lions are who we thought they were.
Right.
They were going to come out. They were going to fight. And the thing is, they're getting better week by week. The thing is, what I want to see them put one full game together, right? And what they're doing, they're taking the last 2 quarters of one game,
it's like my golf game.
and then they're going into the next game and playing another, good 2 quarters in the first half. So they're putting 4 together, in different weeks. But we need them all consecutive in 1 week.